Ó, hoje o React é React do React, ok? O título do vídeo é do Review Dia. Is Passive Listening Actually Effective? Aprendizado passivo é efetivo atualmente? É eficaz? Bora ver?
What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, we're gonna
What's up, grinds? Welcome back to the channel.
do a react to this video from Jeremiah Language Ideas. I've reacted to it.
Eu conheci o Review Dia graças ao Jeremias, no português. O Jeremiah Language Idea. Ele apresentou em um vídeo dele, eu já acompanhava ele, apesar da pouca quantidade de inscritos, ele tem 1000 e poucos inscritos, só que o conteúdo dele engaja bastante. Então, eu conheci o Evil Dia através do Jeremiah.
Him for how many times now, Jeremiah? I reckon it must be 3 or 4 times now over the course of your channel's history. I spend 5 hours learning languages daily as a busy.
Como eu gastei. Aí o título do Jeremiah é Como eu gastei mais de 5 horas aprendendo línguas diariamente como um adulto ocupado.
Adult. Now that kind of vibes with me because, well, I'm a busy adult. I spend 5 hours a day learning languages. And then again, everyone's probably a busy adult in this day and age with the market conditions the way that they are, and how everyone's just waiting for the next global water and pandemic to hit all at the same time. Okay, let's not go down a dark hole.
And easily over 5 hours a day, every single day, studying languages. Of course, I'm super busy, you know.
I wouldn't say I do easily over 5 hours a day. I roughly hit 5 hours a day, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less.
I have a full-time job, family, go to the gym, all that stuff, yada, 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 side hustles, all that stuff. Anything you can think of, I'm doing it.
Então, para fazer isso, o dia do pessoal é 300 horas. Porque eu já durmo 5 horas diárias, noturnas. 5 horas noturnas. Nunca durmo 8 horas. Durmo 5 horas e meia. Já foi. Vamos arredondar para 6. Dormi 6 horas. Podia ter 24. 18. Fico trabalhando 10. Eu não sei aonde que eu quero chegar com isso. Mas é foda.
And most of the time I was studying Vietnamese, I was a full-time student in college, while concurrently a full-time.
Okay, so I do want to say one thing, okay? Yes, I'm doing roughly 5 hours a day. This is not me whipping out my e-penis and saying, oh, guys, you fucking weaklings, not doing enough hours per day on your language. Like, realistically at this point, it's kind of like 50-50 my job. Because, like, I'm being paid to learn Mandarin Chinese via LingoPie, my series that I've got with them. So, like, I have a very good incentive to actually put in the time for that language. And then when it obviously comes to Spanish, well, no one's fucking paying me. Someone's gonna pay. Can someone pay me for learning Spanish? God damn it. But, like, my point is, like, it's kind of a job, but it's also kind of not at this point for me. Because I do have a full-time job, and I do just love learning languages. But also, if you want to learn multiple languages at once and actually make progress, no matter what method you use, you're going to have to put in a lot of hours per day. It's insane. It's why whenever someone just drops down in the comment section, they're like, Evil Dear, I love what you're doing with Spanish. Can you do a series where you learn just Japanese, just using flashcards and Anki? And I'm like, bro, I would love to, but time. Time is the issue.
Employee and still studying the language 5 hours plus every single day. So how was I able to actually achieve this? The number one thing that you probably expected me to talk about, that I've been talking about for the past couple of days on this channel, is passive listening. It's just so incredibly important. It's so underutilized.
Oh, okay. I do not do any passive listening as part of my 5 hours. I do watch content, but I consider it active listening because that's all I'm doing at the time. But like, I personally do not even consider passive. Like, I don't track it anywhere. I don't, because like, the reason I don't track it anywhere is because I feel like it is of such little value. Yes, there is some value to it, but it is of such little value that it can skew my overall numbers. So I just don't track it. Now, do I not do it? No, I do it.
Eu não sei se isso aqui que eu faço, eu acho que não. Eu acho que não é um aprendizado passivo. Porque eu tô concentrado aqui. Eu acho que aprendizado passivo é tipo assim, colocar um podcast, colocar uma música, colocar alguma coisa assim de fundo e você fazendo outras coisas. Sempre eu tô aqui no foco. Eu acho que é isso. Seria como se fosse o plano de fundo, né?
I just don't track it.
I think that the biggest reason why it's so underutilized
E quando é igual o Ivildia tá falando, eu não vou completar. Quando é um aprendizado passivo, quando é uma coisa assim, eu nem conto. Eu nem porque eu anoto tudo, né? Eu anoto a quantidade de minutos, né? Que eu faço no dia, não sei o quê. Aí, igual ontem eu fiz 101 minutos. Ontem 38. Aí ontem 172. Quase 3 horas. Mas enfim. Eu não anoto. Quando é passivo. Quando é música, quando é podcast. Eu não anoto.
is that people face a ton of problems when they try to do it. So I'm going to be kind of like explaining those problems to you and how you can overcome them. So
Okay, maybe I'll learn something about how to do passive listening correctly then.
one of the biggest problems with passive listening is your lack of engagement with the material, because the more engaged you are, the more focused you are. The more focused you are, the more you're going to get out of it, because people often confuse passive listening with just having something on as background noise. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about, like, I wouldn't even count this as language
Porque vai ser só um barulho de fundo, às vezes.
study or language learning or language immersion, right? If you just have it going on in the background, you're really getting pretty much nothing out of it. There could be some very, very minor benefit.
Okay, so it seems like we're in agreement so far. Maybe his term for passive listening is different to my own.
That's like really minor and like weird, but like I'm talking about actual language learning gains here, right? And if you just have something playing in the background, you're just simply not going to get those like real gains. The only like benefit that I could really think of is that if you have it going on in the background, sometimes you'll actually zone into it and pay attention. But in general,
I actually find it because like I literally tried doing it today. I was watching a Chinese CI channel. By the way, there's this absolutely amazing Chinese channel which dropped recently. Okay, it's called Chocolate Chinese CI. I've been playing World of Warcraft with the guy for my members, my paying members. But go check out his channel if you're learning Chinese, and if you love games, bro, it is the best fucking channel ever. Like, I am so happy it exists. But anyway, I had some of his content passively playing while I was doing some programming, and I had to stop it because like my brain kept wanting to focus in on it while I was trying to program, and it was like I was doing one or the other. So I just ended up closing it in the end and just playing some music, because then I could just fully focus on the programming. But like, I find it actually becomes a hindrance to whatever I'm trying.
Mas te falar, no português às vezes é difícil para mim ficar ouvindo alguma coisa de fundo enquanto tá fazendo outra coisa, dependendo da coisa. Igual, hoje eu estava ouvindo um podcast em português, Flow Podcast, e estava, um corte, né? E estava jogando Minecraft. Aí tava dando para ouvir. Mas tem hora que você para de prestar atenção na sua audição, você começa a prestar atenção no jogo, mas aí volta, o seu cérebro vai trocando isso aí, sei lá. Mas enfim, no inglês, pra mim eu tenho que me forçar mais. Se eu estiver jogando Minecraft ou ouvindo inglês, eu tenho que me forçar mais pra tentar entender, porque eu não sou um nível top. Provavelmente é isso, né? Provavelmente.
to do when I just have something playing in the background.
You're only going to get out of it the attention that you put into it. So having quality attention is crucial. So you need to be engaged in this passive listening. And so many people, they put on something that's just boring, right? They'll put on like the news in Japanese, for example. Do you really care about that? Maybe you do, right? Maybe that's engaging for you, but most people will put on something that they don't really care about. Alternatively, they'll put on something that they do care about, but it's just so high level, like, that they just don't understand it. So like, let's just say you kind of are into like, you've always wanted to read Lord of the Rings, right? You've never read the books. You watched the movie like once, like 5 years ago, but you've never read the books. You put the Japanese audiobook of Lord of the Rings on, and you basically understand nothing, and you get bored and frustrated. That's another trap that people fall into, right? You need to have passive listening in such a way where you're actually understanding it, number one, and you're actually engaged and focusing on it as much as possible. So with passive listening, if you're like in a situation where you have to talk to somebody, then passive listening is not going to do you any good. If you have to like for example, at work, I often have to like read things like emails, schedules, whatever. If I'm going to have to read something, passive listening is not going to work, because it's the voice in my head that I'm reading in English is going to override the passive listening, right? But if you're at the gym, if you're cleaning, doing stuff like that around the house, grocery shopping is a big one, right? Because you'll spend like easily an hour and a half grocery shopping, right? That's time you could be spending with the language that most people will spend either, you know, it's cool to be with your own thoughts. I'm not saying it's bad, but most people, like, they won't be taking advantage of that time. And if your main goal is to learn the language, then you should be taking advantage of that time, if it's your main goal. If learning a language is something that you kind of want to do on the side and you're not too serious about it, then maybe it's not worth it always having like something in the language, and maybe
This kind of reminds me of what Pablo from Dreaming Spanish was saying in one of his videos, where he's literally got headphones, like an old school MP3 player, okay, with just a bunch of podcasts he's listened to many, many times. It's all loaded in there in Thai, and he's just got his headphones in and just like a button. Whenever literally no one's talked to him, he just hits play. That could be like for 1 minute here, 2 minutes over there, 3 minutes, you know. But at the end of the day, you do clock up a lot of time. I did try do it at one stage. I did it for Chinese, and I think I did get about 2 hours worth within one day. But I'm kind of a lazy guy in some ways, and like I just kept forgetting to just hit play again. And it also
Então, eu sou suspeito a falar. Na verdade, eu tenho um local de fala para falar. Porque a última tentativa de aprender inglês, sem ser essa, né? Essa aqui eu vou conseguir. Vou aprender essa merda. Mas a última, eu ouvia muito podcast. Eu caminhava com a minha cachorrinha todos os dias e eu ouvia muito podcast em inglês. Durante, sei lá, 3, 4 meses, todos os dias, ouvindo mais de 1 hora de podcast. E fazendo outros estudos, né? Mas no meu diário, na minha vida diária, minha rotina diária, tinha isso. Porém, eu não vi mudança nenhuma. Por quê? Porque eu não conhecia o vocabulário. Então, ficar só ouvindo o passivo e não melhorar, não adiantou pra mim. Pode ser que adiante, não sei, mas pra mim, tô falando minha experiência. Você não tem como negar minha experiência. Foi eu que fiz a experiência. Tá doido?
can kind of become a little bit tiring. Like maybe this is just a me issue, but like just by hitting play and hitting stop and hitting play, like I never gave my brain a rest during the entire day. I feel like for me personally, the time my brain actually gets a rest, and maybe because I'm doing so much active study, is when I take those walks. I'm not listening to anything, and I'm just like looking at the fucking birds. You know, I'm just looking at the sky. That's like my brain. You know, I've turned off the overcooker, you know, whatever it is, like it's, and I'm just like, you can just chill, bro. You can chill for like 10 minutes. This is your reward. This is your reward. But like, I feel like that would have been a perfect time for me to just like slap it and hit play again. But then my poor brain's like, come on, bro. We've been running on overclock mode for ages. The BIOS is burning out. We can't keep doing this.
You just want to enjoy your own silence. That's totally cool. But if you're watching
That's me.
this video and you really truly want to get fluent as fast as possible, you really need to be taking advantage of this time, right?
Ah, shit. Okay, maybe I should try this a bit more. Maybe I should track some passive listening time with my Chinese. Just try get some passive listening time in with as part of my LingoPie series that I'm doing, and just slap it on top. Track it. Try to track it. Like there is ways to track it actually. That's quite easy. Like if you have a secondary YouTube account and you're using the YouTube app, you can actually see time you've spent watching videos on that account. So you can just like hit play, hit stop, hit play. You don't have to track hours or anything. At the end of the day, you can see you've done like an hour, 2 hours. So maybe I'll try just tracking and like just slapping in a whole bit. Overcook my brain. Maybe that will help a bit more.
Right? Not listening to music, even music in the target language is not nearly as helpful as comprehensible input passive listening, right? Not listening to like
something else he said earlier, which probably makes sense, is maybe for that passive listening stuff when you are doing other things, try listening to just stuff that is just super, like just, you know, 100%, just easy. And I know that might seem kind of counterproductive because you're like, well, you already understand it all, so why are you listening to it? But maybe there's something to be had there in just like helping train your ear to constantly just narrow in on the sounds, like just more and more and more. I don't know. I'm kind of, maybe I'll try this as an experiment.
English content, right? Strictly focusing on target language content, right? And I have a couple tips for you for that because it's not easy, right? So often what I personally do to really get this sheer amount of passive listening in is I'll start off by listening to something that's rather difficult. For example, I'm watching this TV show called Bungo Stray Dogs, and my comprehension, according to Migaku, which is the software that I use, is about like around 80 to 85% per episode, right? And
Bungo Stray Dogs, anime.
So there's a lot of words that I don't know. And I'll watch the show from start to finish, and it'll be like a 20-minute episode. And while I'm watching the episode, I'll look up almost every word that I don't know, right? Unless like there's a sentence with like 5 words I don't know, I don't even bother, right? But like in general, I'll pretty much look up every word, right? And some of the words I'll save to my flashcard system to do later. Some of them I won't. I'll just look it up and keep moving, right? But the key thing is, I will listen to that episode basically every day for the next week, right? That's 20 minutes of passive listening right there. And so the key thing is that I preloaded it, right? I gave myself the meanings and I gave myself the definitions and all that stuff. So now when I re-listen to that episode, I'm able to actually follow along and understand almost everything, right? Even words that I don't know the definition of, I'm still able to understand what they're saying because I remember what they said because I looked it up previously, right?
Okay, so He's doing his active study, and then he takes this content that he already knows and re-listens to it over and over and over. That seems probably pretty good, but I feel like, again, that's going to be at the level where it's really difficult, and therefore my attention is going to be drawn to it as I'm trying to focus in and actually understand it. So, I don't know, I still feel like if I'm going to do the passive listening, maybe the best option is actually just to listen to stuff that's just so easy it's not funny.
Right, so that's huge. That does, however, take up a lot of like mental stamina, if you will.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
A very difficult process. So 20 minutes, I'm listening to that episode and I'm really locked in and focused on the Japanese. I'll do this while just getting ready in the morning, right? Literally like while I wake up, brush my teeth, if you make yourself breakfast, whatever that may be, if you get dressed, all that stuff. Like you'll spend like 30 minutes in the morning washing your face, brushing your teeth, getting dressed, making breakfast, and it'll just be like in silence or with music, right? And if your main goal is to get good at the target language, that's 30 minutes of listening right there, boom, right in the start of your day, right? And I find that's huge to kind of give yourself momentum. So I always do the most difficult passive.
That's when I would traditionally do my Anki. As soon as I wake up, I'd be like, oh, I'm alive, grab the phone, Anki, let's go, brain's ready, boom, 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 boom. And then like within half an hour,
Tá doido.
I'd be like, okay, now I'm ready to sleep again.
Listening parts first, right? And then I'll go through and I'll re-listen to videos and stuff that I've listened to before again, right? And that's just like
Maybe I should do this as an actual challenge and see how much passive listening I can get into an average day. Just like push it to the extreme. Like every moment where I'm not talking or I'm not doing something, you know, like just hit fucking play. Just play. Just like smash it. See if it actually helps. You might be thinking, okay, yeah, but how can you track that? How can you, because obviously you can track hours, but like how can you track if that's helping or not? You can kind of feel it for yourself when things are working and when they're not. So I don't know, I'm kind of half tempted, man. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos recently. I'm like, I want to try that. Like, I literally started. A bunch of you guys asked me about this, okay? In a recent video, we watched, what was it? I can't remember his name. Okay, it was the Chinese creator, and he was talking about how to perfect your accent and the method that he uses chorusing, and he spends hours literally on just one sentence. I actually started doing that. I started doing that 2 days ago as part of an experiment, and I'm tracking it. I feel like I'm just tracking so many different variables at this point, and maybe that's bad.
Reinforcing, getting more repetition. And then once I kind of find that I'm kind of just tired and I'm done with doing that kind of intense style of passive listening, I'll do something a lot more casual, which is just putting YouTube videos. Usually I'll just have YouTube videos on, and the key is to use something that you need some kind of attachment to it, some kind of familiarity to it, right? So recently, just literally today, like 20 minutes ago, I was watching somebody do a BioShock playthrough in Japanese, right? BioShock is one of my
Mano, eu tô dando umas piscadas violentas. Ai, que sono. Mas, vamos.
favorite games of all time. I've watched English playthroughs of that, and I've played the game myself like dozens of times, right? So I know like pretty much everything that goes on. And so it makes the whole listening experience much more pleasurable, because if you know about the game, right? Like I've done this with Dark Souls with Vietnamese all the time. If you know about the game, you kind of know what's going to happen in the game. And so like you can kind of hear their reactions to it, and you kind of like can follow along without understanding the language. That's a big thing. You want to find content where you can follow along without necessarily understanding the language. So if you're not a gamer, this might be a...
Bro, like my entire channel is just like, if you go to the paid section, it's just me playing games with other YouTubers and stuff.
É porque o pessoal só pensa no objetivo, ele não pensa na trajetória para chegar a esse objetivo. Igual, eu quero ser fluente em inglês, mas eu só foco lá, eu tenho que focar na trajetória. Curtir a trajetória também leva tempo, não é 3 meses fluente igual o pessoal vende aí.
Stuff like this is all me.
A little bit difficult for you. Maybe you could find videos of people reviewing your favorite movies or your favorite TV shows, so you kind of know what, like when you hear the character names, you kind of know what they're talking about. But yeah, gaming is king for this. Watch somebody play through a game that you like, that you've seen like a billion times, and it's such a good experience because you can get all the enjoyment out of it without having to understand the language, which is really cool, right? Twitch is a great source for this, because Twitch, I've mentioned this in a video previously, but the entire design philosophy behind Twitch is that you can basically just jump in at any time and enjoy the content. There's no like with like a Netflix series, for example, you kind of have to follow along or else you're going to lose the plot. But with Twitch, there is no plot. There's always just random stuff happening all the time.
With Twitch, there is no plot. That has multiple meanings and all of them are true.
You can drop in at any point and you can drop out at any point. And so that's why it's really cool to use that for language learning, because your focus, even if you have the best focus in the world, it's naturally going to ebb and flow, right? Like you're going to lose attention, right? And a lot of the friction of the passive listening comes from when you lose attention and you zone back in, you now have no idea what's going on and it's just a bunch of gibberish and you're frustrated, so you just turn it off, right? That's happened to me so many times in the past. But when you have a Twitch stream or something where you can, or like even an episode that you've seen before, something where you can follow along, and when you zone back in, you know what's going on, that's going to be super helpful to you to be able to actually get the passive listening in. So for lack of better words, the zone back in ability of the content that you're consuming is huge, right? It matters a lot. And so once I get tired of the gaming streams, now I'll throw on some stuff where there's English in it, but they're using English to explain Japanese concepts or whatever your target language is, right? There's tons of these videos. I've given examples of this before. The one I use is Game Gengo. So based
I'm not sure if what he's doing here is actually watching the content while listening to it. Because, like, I have listened to people playing games before. Games that I know well, which is kind of what he was talking about. And
É o que eu faço, ver o pessoal jogando Minecraft.
you know, you know the game so well, you can actually visualize it. You do not even need to, like, look at it. But I'm not too sure at this moment.
basically what that is it's an English YouTube video where he speaks in English about like a Japanese word or a grammar point, and then he follows his English explanation with like 3 or 4 example sentences in Japanese. If you can find something like that, that's huge, right? The key thing is that there's English and then target language sentences. If it's only English explanations, then you're not going to be able to understand. And if it's only target language, that is good. But if you're kind of like exhausted and tired and you don't want to spend that much effort really comprehending, then using the stuff with English in it is really helpful, I found, for me personally. Because like there's plenty of times where I really don't feel like listening to Japanese. I really just want to listen to something in English because I want to chill. Like my brain is working overtime. So that's when I'll put on the English then to Japanese, because then I'll understand the Japanese pretty easily because he just explained the English equivalents, right? There's a bunch of videos, I think like most of them are like AI generated, where it's basically like 1,000 Italian sentences, for example, and it'll say a sentence in English and then right after it'll say the same sentence.
Bro, like, he's talking about AI. This just got me thinking also about that comment I mentioned at the earlier video. Gotta do a language challenge where you just learn a language using Anki and AI. No real human input. Imagine you'll come out sounding like a clanker. That would be so fucking hilarious. Probably a bad one depending on the language, but so many awesome challenges I want to do.
It's in Italian, and then it's a different sentence in English, the same different sentence in Italian, so on
Perdi o fio da meada.
and so forth. Those videos are okay. I personally haven't really used them because I found like the grammar explanation videos to be more useful, but whatever you can find and whatever you prefer, whatever kind of gets you engaged. And I find these videos very exciting because even though like there's no plot behind them, right? It's not like proper content. It's literally just language related. Like he's explaining language. I find it still really engaging to me because I love getting better at the language. And so by hearing these like English phrases, and then sometimes I kind of like try to guess the Japanese in advance before I hear the Japanese, or just being able to understand Japanese that I wasn't previously able to understand because I got the English explanation is.
This sounds like a different level of... This is like half active, half passive engagement. Yeah, I think with me, passive is more just like, it's just playing over there. You're not really paying attention to it. Maybe you'll focus in for a couple seconds here and there. That's it. But this kind of seems like more towards the active side of things.
Really exciting to me. So you can use that to kind of motivate yourself and increase your time. And as you can see, like my main strategy with passive listening is to keep switching things up so I don't get bored, and to kind of like give myself types of passive listening that don't require too much mental bandwidth. Because so many people will hear the advice of like, oh, you should re-listen to shows that you've already watched, and they'll try to do that for 4 hours. I can't do that for like 1 hour even. 1 hour is like my max. Then I get like, I get burnt out, right? Or they'll try to do like a Twitch stream for like 6 hours and they're just kind of bored and they basically stop paying attention and they're not really getting much out of it. So it's all about going from the most difficult and kind of working your way down and then alternating between. Like sometimes I'll do like 2 episodes of a show that I've been watching, so it's like 50 minutes, and then I'll go like an hour of streams, and then I'll do like...
Ah, é o que eu faço. Quando eu tô cansado, eu vou alternando. Igual hoje eu já assisti. Eu comecei a ver um filme, aí eu falei, pô, tá pai, hein? Tá me dando sono. Aí eu comecei a assistir The Boys, a temporada nova, episódio 4. Aí é em inglês, né? Pô, tô falando em inglês. Aí, beleza, aí eu vou, vejo, aí eu começo a gravar vídeo aqui pra vocês. Mas enfim, pra deixar registrado o dia de hoje. E depois eu vejo outras coisinhas. Se for coisinha besta eu nem anoto. Mas se for, tipo assim, uns vídeos no YouTube, geralmente é isso. Eu vejo vídeo no YouTube, vejo filme. Por enquanto tá sendo isso, tá sendo mais um aprendizado visual com vídeos. Mas vai chegar um momento que eu vou, quando tiver em reta final do desafio, que aí eu já começo a tryhardar, falar o output, treinar, pensar, escrever e tá ligado?
30 minutes of grammar explanations, and then I'll go back to the difficult videos because now the grammar explanations were pretty easy for me to understand, all that stuff. Now I go back to the more hard stuff, and I just keep that process going pretty much.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking. I kind of want to just download like a bunch of like really easy to understand Chinese podcasts, just string them all together and just hit play and just let them play in my ears while I'm just doing a bunch of stuff just to see if it just helps in any way. Because like this is one of those things where I've never been quite sold on. passive listening. I've spoken about it on this channel before, and people come down in the comment section, they'll be like, no, Evil Deer, passive listening, it's actually really, really good. You should do it. You get a lot of value out of it. But like every time I've tried it, I've never felt like I've got much value out of it as compared to say like just literally sitting down and watching stuff, or just like taking a walk and listening to stuff like actively. Maybe this is just flooding your brain, just constantly just flooding your brain, even with basic stuff. Maybe that just really helps to build those pathways. Maybe that is like something that will be really beneficial in the long run. I don't know. What's your experience with this, guys, down in the comments section? Let me know. I'm kind of half tempted to just do some challenges where I just try to like just overload my brain every single day with just Chinese. You know, just listening to it over and over and over. I say Chinese because that would kind of fit a lot better with what I'm doing with the LingoPie and stuff, as opposed to, you know, Spanish, which like ALG wouldn't be against listening to a bunch of content, but then they'd also be like, you can't track those hours. Like that's not trackable hours. So I think this would work better for Chinese.
As much of the day as I possibly can. Of course, there's times when you have to turn it off, but if you just do it as much as you can, you're going to be able to get more than 5 hours a day, no matter what kind of life you have, right? And
okay, so that's what he means by 5 hours a day. Okay, wow. Okay, no, my 5 hours is like all active. It's either me doing crosstalk, it's me doing, you know, straight up study. It's
Mano, 5 horas por dia, em menos de um mês já fez 100 horas de input, de imersão na língua. E eu tô... Mano, deve estar faltando 16, 18 horas pra mim, pra eu bater 100 horas. Em 3, 4 meses, mais ou menos. Provavelmente até o final do ano eu devo bater ou umas 300 horas por aí, ou 250, alguma coisa assim. Pela média que eu tô fazendo, né?
It's me watching stuff on LingoPie. I'm running out of goddamn fingers. Or at least, yeah, it's like, everything is active. Why did I say running out of fingers when I'm 3? Am I fucking like Homer Simpson?
that brings me to the next point, and that is entertainment content, in terms of like when you're just sitting down watching content. I completely cut out English content. For the past couple of years, there's rarely been points in my life where I reintroduce English content, maybe like 1 month here and there. For like 90% of the time, for the past 3 years, I've completely cut out English entertainment content. Yes, I still watch English content for like education.
That was hard for me because for Chinese, there was very little content that I actually enjoyed. And I'm only just starting to get to a level where I can understand good Chinese content. But for Spanish, it's so easy. Just swap Netflix over to Spanish and just watch it in Spanish now.
Like, oh, how can you like set up your language learning YouTube channel in an optimal way? Or like, how can you learn, like, what's a good language learning start? You know, stuff like that. Like education in English, sure, that's fine. But like in terms of just pure entertainment, like a Netflix series, like TV or like YouTube that I'm watching for entertainment, I only do target language. It's important on 2 levels, right?
It really depends. If it is like a movie or something I've been like waiting out for, I've been like, oh yeah, man, it's going to drop in 2 weeks. I can't wait to watch this. I'm sorry. I will watch it first in English because I want to get all the juicy. I want to get all the juicy details. You know, I want to fully experience it in my native language. And then after that, I'll probably rewatch it at some point, you know, in Spanish or something. But like, there are certain instances where I'm like, no, this has to be watched in English first.
Because number one, it's basically minute per minute basis, right? Like every minute that you spend watching English content for entertainment.
Mano, tá tão frio aqui na cidade que os vídeos tá tudo abafado. Embaçado, pô. Dá pra fazer desenho ali. Depois eu vou fazer desenho.
Entertainment is a minute that you don't spend getting input in your target language. And once you kind of get the hang of tolerating ambiguity, you'll find that like you can be super entertained and super immersed by target language content that you don't even understand that much, right? Like, so like it's super important to learn how to tolerate ambiguity, put on native content, even if you don't understand that much, and just let yourself like, just stop thinking about comprehending and just completely turn your brain off. At this point,
yeah, by doing my Spanish challenge, I have gotten a lot better at tolerating ambiguity. Like, that is beyond a doubt. I'm so much better at doing that now compared to before I started the experiment. Like, I had to know every word in the goddamn sentence, otherwise it would just annoy me.
You can turn your brain off and just enjoy the show. Don't even think about the language. Just simply enjoy the show as much as you possibly can. Enjoy Max, and you'll find that you're actually going to get good results from this, and that your brain kind of needs this time, right? And you can use it. This can be unwinding time. It doesn't have to be this exhausting thing. If you think that like every time you consume the target language is always exhausting, then you really haven't learned how to like properly let your brain relax in the target language. And I have a whole video on that. I'm gonna make another one as well on how to let your brain relax in the target language. So if you're interested, subscribe to the channel for that.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up the video here. We've got the good summary of what he's saying, and if you guys want to watch the remaining part of this video, definitely go check it out on his channel. I know some people get annoyed when I don't fully watch a video on my channel, but I also kind of want to encourage you guys to go over and watch the videos on the person's channel, you know, help them out. This was a good video. It made me really think about, should I be doing
Foi bom vídeo mesmo.
a lot more, just like, maybe this wasn't even his intention, but I've been kind of in this headspace a little bit before of maybe I should just try flooding my brain with just a ton more just passive, easy to understand passive content and seeing where that leads. Maybe that will just help a lot. Anyway, if you guys have enjoyed this video, let me know down in the...
Esse vídeo eu tive muitas piscadas assim, eu fiquei com o olho fechado e a audição aberta, né? E eu tava assim. Mas enfim. Chegou quinta-feira. Quinta-feira já tô com sono. Sexta-feira já tô com muito sono. Sábado eu durmo bastante. Aí sábado eu durmo pra renovar meu sono. Let's go!